So it's May and it's gloriously sunny. In fact, a bit too hot for me, to be honest, because I'm a Nash. But what that means is it's so hot in the greenhouse that one of my first jobs today is going to be to get all the stuff outside, give it a bit of fresh air, and of course with that start the hardening off process, because in a couple of weeks, oh, we've 2 swallows there, that's lovely. In a couple of weeks it's going to be time to start planting them outside, so we've got to start getting them ready. And the temperature in the greenhouse is something like 41 I think it was, which is about 100 and odd degrees Fahrenheit, but 40 odd degrees centigrade, so very warm. So first job is to start hardening off the plants, and the other thing I really want to get done today is get finished doing my bean trenches, because it's about time they can go out now. So I'll be showing you how I'm going to do that and the varieties I'm going to be sowing. Controversial decisions have been made about the varieties. So yeah, so I'm not going to ramble on just now. I'll save that for later. Okay, let's have a little look round. Okay, it's time to play Guess the Plant. It doesn't look very promising, does it? And the picture that was on the packaging when I bought it looked really lush. But my excuse is it was only £1 and it was the last one left, and I felt ever so sorry for it, and I thought, well, you know, I've got to give it a chance. So let me just show you a bit more. I thought it was doing really well the other day because it started going green round here, but obviously these are all weeds. It's actually a tayberry. Let's take it out. I've had it soaking at home. Now, there we go, I'll put that there. It's one of those ones that, oh, thank you very much, that's wrapped in like a bit of black polythene. And you take the polythene off and it says, take the polythene off and spread the roots before you plant. Well, to be honest, oh yeah, there are a few roots there. So I'm going to see what happens. It actually looks like, I don't know, will something come? I don't know, it's not completely dead. Let's see. Oh, well, maybe it is. Yeah, come on. We've got to give it a chance. We've got the space for it. I'm going to pop that up. We'll just keep an eye on it. Okay. Poor plant. Someone's got to look after it. Really warm in the greenhouse today. The temperature thingy-bob says 41. Which is, and I only know this because I pressed the conversion thing, it's about 100 and something Fahrenheit, which we're just not used to, are we? But yeah, I'm glad I've come down because it's so overwhelmingly stuffy in here today. So what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to start hardening some of these off. So I'll take them outside, leave them outside for the day because it's going to be warm all day, and then that'll start the process of them hardening off. There we go. Most of the greenhouse is outside now. Of course, that means it's very difficult to get back into the greenhouse, but we'll worry about that when it comes to it. Okay. Nice of them to have a day out. These tulips are coming to the end now. So what I'll do, I'll give them a few more days, and then what I do, I basically put the pot round the side of the shed and just leave them to it, and then bring them out again next spring because they'll die off. All the goodness will go back into the bulbs, and then next year, usually the bulbs split, might have more tulips. I mean, this is their second year, and they are much better than they were last year. Now, on Gardener's World the other night, Mr. Don said that what he does with his tulips is he just digs them up and throws them on the compost heap. He says they're never as good the second year. Well, I suppose if you're growing for show or something like that, then yeah, I can understand you doing that, but really, if you've got them in a border, just keep them. They'll just keep on giving. The pak choy are coming on really well. These have been out for a couple of weeks now, and considering we've had some really cold nights, they've stood up quite well. So, the very tough little things, the only thing you might find with pak choy is it's very susceptible to flea beetle. So, any advice please? What can we do? I mean, all they do, they're not a huge problem, but they do create holes in the leaves. You can wash them off, you can still eat the leaves, but I'd rather not. So top tips please, what would you do with flea beetle? Okay, I've got my bean trenches dug out and ready to fill at the moment, but the problem is, and I think it's pretty much the same everywhere at the moment, the soil is so dry. If I show you that at the moment, as I'm digging like that, I mean, I can feel it slightly moist down there, but it's just falling back in. So I'm going to have to keep pulling it back until I've got it filled with, basically what I'm going to use this year is a mix of comfrey leaves and what's left at the bottom of the compost pile, because we need for these beans to have as much moisture as possible. We can't do with them drying out. Worked well last year, got a fantastic crop, still got bags of them in the freezer. We can't get rid of them fast enough. Okay, so yeah, by the end of today, hopefully, these will all be filled and ready to plant, she says. What can go wrong? Okay, what we've got there is a very simple A-frame. Sadly, I didn't have enough poles to do both lots, so my other beans are going to have to wait for another day until I've got the 8-foot poles back. But you can see, just very basic A-frame, a couple of braces along the side to sturdy it up a bit. If you don't want to do an A-frame, you can do something called an X-frame, which if you go to the UK Here We Grow site, sorry, it suddenly got windy. If you go to the UK Here We Grow site, Brian is doing a video of it, of how to do an X-frame, and he explains that he finds it easier to actually harvest your beans if it's on an X-frame as opposed to an A-frame. But he'll explain it much better than I can. So that's for 2 sets of beans, and then the wigwam at the end there is for my pea beans. Okay, so we're ready to sow. Okay, I thought it would be about time to just show you the sort of beans that I'm planting and tell you about my controversial decision. We've actually got, well, we will have, when I've got enough poles, we're going to have 4 rows of beans. We're going to have a wigwam, especially for the pea beans. Sorry, it's got really sunny in my eyes, like this. And the decision I've made this year, because we're still, I think I've mentioned, we're still using the runner beans from last year. We've still got bags full in the freezer. And to be honest, you can only have so much of a good thing. I've decided we're not going to grow Cobra, the runner bean that we grew last year. It did really well. It was incredibly prolific. But really, I'd rather put the space to do some of the beans that are just a bit more tasty, really. So, saying that, I haven't told Mike that yet, so shh. Saying that, I'll show you what I'm doing. The one that I am doing that we did last year was the Golden Gate bean. And this produced some really lovely yellow pods, like a pale yellow, like a straw yellow. And they were pretty much stringless, apart from the ones right at the end of the season, like anything, that had all gone a bit ropey. But early on, they just melted in the mouth. I mean, they're the colour of butter, and if you think of butter melting in your mouth, that's what they were like. So definitely going to do them again if I haven't lost the seeds. 1 second, here we go. It is last year's seed, so again, hoping it's going to be okay. What I've done, I know a lot of people swear by soaking their seeds overnight the night before. I've never done that before, but I've been talking to Alan, who you might remember from last year, who grew the giant triffid type squash that took over his greenhouse and most of his garden. And he swears by soaking the seeds the night before. And he said the reason is it gives them about 10 days head start on the ones that you don't soak. So I have soaked these ones. So there's, I don't know how many in there, about 8. Oh no, there's more in there. And I haven't soaked these ones. And so we're going to do a compare and contrast, just see which ones come up earlier, if they catch up, you know, when they catch up. See if there's any difference to it really. So I've got to try not to drop these because I've got 6 left. 6 of the non-soaked ones, but that should be okay. So my Golden Gate is a definite, just because it worked. You can't buy it in the shops, or I haven't seen it anyway. And yeah, it was really tasty. They're going to go in. I've got my pea beans. I've still got that many left. I had from a wigwam, I know the wigwam's probably just out of shot now, but I had one wigwam full of these last year, and I cropped twice that amount. I've got all those left. I mean, just fantastic. They are, not only are they beautiful to look at as beans, cropped really well. Sorry, Aaron. Aaron didn't have so much such good luck with his. They are beautiful beans. You won't be able to see them from there. I've spilled the beans. It serves me right for being too far away from the camera. Oh, there we go, got you. But yeah, basically with these, you just leave them on, you don't have to do anything to them. Just leave them to grow to the end of the season, let them dry on the actual plant themselves. And once all the pods are dry, you just pop those out and they come out like that, and they're beautiful and they grow really easy and they taste really nice. There's quite a nice meaty taste to them. And that is thank you again to Brian, the lovely Brian over at UK Here We Grow. He sent me a handful of pea beans last year, and from that, well, I had twice as much as that, but I've still got those left. So that's what I love about gardening, when we can pass things on and pass on advice, pass on things. It's lovely. Okay, so I've got my pea beans on the wigwam, I've got my Golden Gate, Borlotti. Again, a fantastic bean. I had a newfound respect for Borlotti beans last year. Again, you can dry them, and that's fine. They have beautiful marbled pods, so to look at, they're gorgeous. But if you eat them, when I say fresh, I don't mean straight from the pod, but fresh picked and cooked. It is a completely different experience from the Borlotti beans you might get ready soaked in tins, or if you reconstitute them from dried by soaking them from the night before. Just cook them fresh in the pods, and oh, so good, so good. Try it, honestly. If you only grow a few Borlotti plants, just try the beans. Really good. So Borlotti beans, and I'm going to grow them on an outside row because they look pretty. A new one on me is the, 1 second, climbing French bean, Cos Violette, or Cosy Violette, or Cos Violet, I don't know, whichever way you say it. And this is a lovely French bean, which I think actually do freeze better than runners anyway, and it's purple. What's not to like? No more to say about that one. Should be really nice. Hope it tastes nice. I'm going to grow them on an outside row as well, so you can see them. And the last thing I'm going to grow, and I've seen these before on other people's sites, and I've always meant to try them, is the purple bodied pea. Just really fancy those. Again, they look lovely. You know, and one of the beautiful things is if you can grow something that looks beautiful and tastes beautiful, why not? So I've got to say, jury's still out on the cobra, because it did do well for us last year. So we might find somewhere to sneak it in, but certainly not on these main rows. These are going to be held back for, what have I got then? I've got one runner bean, one French bean, purple podded pea, a borlotti and the pea beans. So the borlotti and the pea beans grown for the beans, the golden gate for the pods, purple podded pea and the French bean. Okay, so wish me luck. Yeah, I'm going to get those in now. I'm not going to show you. Do you want to see me plant? You don't want to see me planting them. You know how to plant a bean. Make a little hole, pop your finger in. I don't know, I might have just said this, I'm not sure. If I have just said this, just ignore me. When you are planting, this is the only tip I've got, plant on the inside of your cane. If your cane's leaning over like that, plant on the inside. If you plant on the outside, you've got to start tying it up quite early on. Okay, it will find its own way eventually, but you've got to sort of help it to find its way. Whereas if you plant on the inside, it'll automatically come into contact with the cane as it grows upright and it'll find its own way. And you know, it doesn't make too much difference, but it saves a lot of tying in. Okay, that's my top tip. And now I'm going to plant those beans. First sowing of beans in. I don't know if you remember, but a couple of months ago I mulched the fruit cage here with some spent hops. Free, left outside the brewery, you can take as many as you want. And we put the hops down and it smelled like a brewery for about 2 weeks, which was actually quite nice. But what you can see, what I want to show you today, is just what happens when you mulch somewhere. When you think of that broad bean trench that I've just shown you, the soil there, excuse me, it's pretty much turned to dust. It's that dry, it hasn't been mulched yet. And when you look here, if I just move this to one side, same soil, you know, nothing special about it. Sunny, I mean, this bit's shaded by the plant, I know, so it's a bit shadier, but it's in full sun, this patch. Have a look at that. That is holding together. That is cool. It's moist. It is perfect. A perfect growing medium for these plants. And that is just because it's covered with this. If you look at this, look, it looks disgusting. That'll eventually just go down, become a bit of a soil conditioner, lighten up the soil a bit, but you can see, let's see if I can find a bit that hasn't been moved. I can't now, can I? Yeah, there. That's what it's like. That moisture's been kept in, it's dry on the top, nice and moist and clammy underneath, which in turn keeps your soil nice and moist as well. So yeah, I think that's a really good example of why it's useful to mulch your things, whether it's in a pot or a plot. Well, if you can get hold of some form of mulch, especially if it's free, it's well worth doing. I don't know how many of you subscribe to a channel called Grown Veg, but it's a gardener up in Cumbria, up in the north of England, northwest, and he grows most of his crops in these 10-inch pots. Now, his harvests might not be as big as you might get if you planted in the soil, but by goodness, they're bountiful. So what he suggested, I mean, because even though we've got quite a big allotment, we always run out of room. For example, he suggests that you put 4 shallots in a 10-inch pot, and he actually takes you through the whole season, and at the end of it, when he harvests them, he gets, on average, about 5 per shallot, so he ends up with 20 shallots in a pot. So we've tried that one, we've put 4 in there, they're doing well so far. 4 in there, they've just been sitting outside. And the other thing he does is leeks. Now, 10 leeks to a pot there. They're not going to be, again, great big fat show bench leeks, but they're edible leeks. And really, for the cost of the soil, which is pretty much nothing because it's mainly spent compost, if you've got anything spare, just try growing it in a 10-inch pot. You've got nothing to lose. The leeks, as you can see, the soil's quite low down, because as they grow, and they really, you know, I wish I'd shown them when we first put them in, they've really picked themselves up so far. But as they grow, we can fill that soil up to a little bit, so that that will help the leeks to blanch. But it's going to be quite interesting to see how they do. We have got leeks in the ground as well, and we've got shallots in the ground as well, so we'll be able to compare and contrast when it comes to harvest time. But I think it's ever such a good idea, and it's very definitely waste not, want not. Okay, it's about, oh, can you believe it's about 7:05? It's after 7 o'clock anyway. And I'm going to call it a day now, because to be honest, it's getting a little bit chilly. And even though I wasn't here for a couple of hours this afternoon, I've come back and I've probably been about 6 hours down here today altogether. And there's still loads to be done. There's stuff I haven't done, like, for example, my my poor old tayberry. That hasn't got planted up. To be honest, I forgot about it. And then I've just seen it in the greenhouse now. So that's sitting in a nice little pot of water until the next time I come down, which hopefully will be tomorrow. I think we're having some nice weather this week. So I just wanted to make sure I've put that on the potting bench so I know exactly where it is and what to do with it. The other thing I wanted to show you, but I can't find my pot. As I don't know if you remember, but last time I picked some of that woodruff, that herb, and it said that it developed its scent as it dried out. And actually, when you first pick it, unlike most herbs which smell fantastic when you first pick them or brush against them or whatever, this actually developed as it dried this most beautiful new mown hay smell, which is obviously where it gets the name lady's bed straw, to freshen the bed linen. And I had a pot of it to show you, but it's gone. But basically, just imagine the herb all dried and shriveled up. You wouldn't be able to smell it anyway. But anyway, worth growing if you've got a little patch of damp shade and you want something just a little bit different to shove in your drawers. So yeah, got the beans in. I'm really pleased I got them in. I have got to go and get more poles. I don't know where all our poles have gone. It's there were plenty last year, so it's one of those things you look round and think, well, what have I done with them? But obviously they've perished in some way or another. Oh, and another thing, this is what I wanted to ask. I'd like to know your thoughts on this. I mean, I've been doing videos now for 2 years, and I've never agreed to put ads on or anything like that, so I don't get any money for the videos, which is fine. I don't expect any. I enjoy doing them. I initially started off for myself, and you know, and the fact other people enjoy them as well, that's a huge bonus. Oh, excuse me. But I don't know, I've noticed that pretty much everybody else uses ads and gets some form of monies, which I know is only pence and pennies, but I don't know whether to do it or not. Do you think it'll put people off if I start sort of agreeing to let ads on? I mean, you can skip them anyway at the beginning, but I don't know. Let me know what you think, because, you know, it means more to me to have people interact and people watch the videos than it does to earn a few pennies. So yeah, just let me know. Okay. I think that's it. That's it for today. I am getting a bit chilly now. I've brought all the plants back into the greenhouse, put them back to bed. Somebody did mention they thought there might be a frost tonight, but to be honest, it's actually gone quite cloudy now. And although the temperature is going to seem very cold compared to what it was at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I don't think we're going to have a frost. In fact, when I last checked the weather for the week ahead, I think we might have got down to about 4, something like that. That was the coldest night. So unless it's all changed, I don't know what's happened. But still, it's way too early. It does make you think it's way too early to start putting this sort of stuff out yet. So yes, beware of Jack Frost. And with that cautionary tale, I'm going to go. And yeah, hope you're all okay. Hope you're all enjoying whatever space you've got. And I'll see you again soon. Okay, thank you.